Hey everybody, Gage here from Sharp. Thank you so much for tuning in. Pleasure to have you with me as always. In this video I thought we'd talk a little bit about the different shapes and styles of Japanese knives. There are many of them. It can get a little bit confusing. So in this video I hope to alleviate a little bit of that confusion and help you to decide which shape is right for you. So first shape we're going to talk about is the petty knife. The petty knife was designed after the French paring knife but is slightly longer. Usually in the range of 120 millimeters up to, I've seen them as long as 180 millimeters, though that is on the long side. Here we're taking a look at a 120 mil and a 150 millimeter. These knives are a must-have, I would argue, for both professionals and home cooks. They are, like I said, a general purpose knife, great for sort of smaller tasks, great for butchery, great for breaking down fish, and great for life on the line as a professional. If you need something that you can slice up steaks with, or a chicken breast here and there, or just do any sort of other small slicing and cutting tasks that you might come across during service. Great also for the home cook who wants something small that they can leave out on the countertop all day, cut up fruit in the morning for breakfast, cut up a tomato, or cut a sandwich in half for lunch. When you don't really need a giant knife like a GYUTO that you would use for dinner time, this guy kind of hangs out and does all the little stuff throughout the day. Okay, next we're taking a look at what's called a kawamuki. A kawamuki is very similar to a petty knife, a little bit different in shape, obviously. Taller blade, so you've got lots more space for your knuckles if you're going to be using it to do like an up and down chopping motion. It's great again for sort of smaller veg, chopping up herbs, and would function great as a sort of line knife as well for a professional. For a home cook, I find that these are great for people who don't particularly enjoy using a really large knife. These are nice and nimble, feel very good in the hand, aren't too cumbersome or hard to wield. So I find that these are great for home cooks, great for professionals that just want something kind of small and nimble but capable. So yeah, kawamuki, great. I use these a lot for, brunoise shallot and garlic and ginger and cutting up chilies and chopping up cilantro and other herbs like parsley and stuff like that. So great little tool here. All right, next we're looking at what's called an ajikiri, or a ko-deba, I've heard them called as well. They are just a little deba, which, if you're unfamiliar with that shape, is used to break down fish. Debas typically range in the 150 to 210 millimeter range, whereas this guy comes in at 105 millimeters. So nice and short and sort of nimble, great for smaller fish, whereas a deba would be used for larger fish. So ajikiri, great little tool. I used to use this as sort of a kawamuki, which is the shape we talked about before. Great height from the cutting edge to the spine, gives you room for your knuckles. Very, very versatile little knife. Great tool to have. Next we're looking at the HONESUKI. The HONESUKI was designed specifically for breaking down chickens, but I find that it works really well at lots of butchery tasks, not just breaking down chicken. You can use it to trim up larger pieces of meat, like for instance a tenderloin, taking the silver skin off, or deboning a pork shoulder, for instance. They are very capable knives. Relatively thick at the spine, and I wouldn't say thick, but thicker behind the edge makes this knife pretty robust and resilient to damage, as it is used a little bit more aggressively with bones and stuff like that. So great tool to have if you're doing a lot of butchery. Next we're taking a look at the NAKIRI. The NAKIRI is designed specifically for chopping vegetables. It's got a nice tall blade from the spine to the cutting edge, which gives the user a lot of space for their knuckles when they're doing an up and down chopping motion like this. The flat profile means that the whole blade comes in contact with the board every time when you chop up and down like this, meaning you're not going to get any of those little choo-choo trains of stuff stuck together, which is super frustrating. You can also flip the blade over and use the spine to scrape stuff together across your board without damaging the edge of your knife. And the large surface area means that it works great as a sort of scoop, for lack of a better term, and makes it easy to sort of pick stuff up and move it across your board or into a pot or a pan or into a Tupperware container or something like that. So Nakiri, great little tool. Next is the Santoku. So the word Santoku translates to 3 virtues, which refers to either slicing, dicing, and chopping, or meat, fish, and vegetables, depending on who you talk to. Basically, the name tries to imply its versatility, which is what makes it the most popular knife in home kitchens in Japan today. They are usually in the range of 165 millimeters to, I've seen them as large as 180. They have a relatively flat profile, meaning they're great for chopping vegetables. The tip makes them good at slicing as well. They can be used to break down fish. I've broken down chickens with them before. Though they might not be the perfect tool for those types of jobs, it can still get the job done. And I highly recommend this to home users because, you know, most home users are looking for that one really good knife that they can do everything with, and the Santoku in my mind is that knife. If you are a professional and you want something sort of more compact and nimble, the Santoku is great as well. In fact, myself, I used to use a Santoku when I was cooking professionally, and I found that they are super capable, and because they're not super long, they're very easy to wield and do more intricate stuff with. And if I had any larger tasks to take care of, I would use a Sujihiki or something like that. So Santoku is a fantastic shape, one that we highly recommend here at the shop for home users, but also to professionals. Okay, now we're looking at the BUNKA. The BUNKA is very similar to the Santoku, as you can probably tell. The one main difference being the reverse tanto tip that you see right here. Very aggressively shaped tip, which in my experience makes the more intricate stuff a lot easier. So Brunoise shallot and garlic and stuff like that, where you're trying to get, you know, really precise thin cuts. It also, in my experience, helps with slicing a little bit as well, though the BUNKA is a little bit short, so I wouldn't say it's the best slicer in the world, and I would say that having both a Santoku and a BUNKA might be a little bit redundant. But if you're looking, again, if you're a home cook and you're looking for that one do-it-all knife, a BUNKA is a fantastic option. And if you're a professional and you're looking for something a little bit more compact but capable, again, a BUNKA is a very good tool to have. Kind of the same talking points as the Santoku. Like I said, I wouldn't see the need in having both, but if you're in the market for your first really nice knife, a BUNKA is a fantastic place to start. Okay, next is the GYUTO. The GYUTO is an essential for any professional. It is the Japanese equivalent to a chef's knife. So the most versatile knife that you can find. It's adept at slicing, chopping vegetables. You can use a rocking motion, an up and down chopping motion, push and pull, whatever you want to do with this guy. They are great for chopping up herbs. You can break down fish with one of these. You can take apart a chicken. Why we generally don't recommend these to home cooks is we find that most people that come into the shop just find that they're a little bit long for their personal taste. I would, however, argue that if you can get used to the length of a GYUTO, it will really help you out. The longer the knife, the more versatile, I would argue, especially in the GYUTO world. You'll find them ranging in size from 180 millimeters upwards to 300 millimeters. We've seen them as long as that. This guy here, the largest one that I've got to show you guys, is 240 millimeter. This is the largest I personally would ever go, but I know lots of guys out there that would go larger. Like I said, generally speaking, the larger or longer the knife, the more you're going to be able to do with it, provided it feels comfortable for you to use. So like I said, great for slicing, great for chopping. You know, all the things you would say about a chef's knife are applicable to the GYUTO. A must-have for professionals and a really great option if you can get used to the size for home cooks. The KIRITSUKE. So if the BUNKA and the SANTOKU are sort of cousins, then the KIRITSUKE and the GYUTO are kind of cousins as well. I would say that having a KIRITSUKE and a GYUTO might be a little bit redundant, as a KIRITSUKE would function much like a chef's knife would as well, taking care of the brunt of your work if you're a professional. If you're a home cook and you can get comfortable with the size of this knife, it would be super versatile for you. You'd be able to get done pretty much 100% of what you're gonna face in the kitchen with one of these guys as a home cook or a professional for that matter. Again, has that reverse tanto tip, which in my experience makes the more intricate stuff a little bit easier and also helps with slicing. This particular one has a bit of a curved belly to it, but does have a bit of a flat spot from here to here. So the up and down chopping motion is great with these guys, push and pull. Fantastic knife, lots of fun this shape, and dare I say looks really cool with that tip again. So KIRITSUKE. All right, and the final shape that we're gonna look at today is called a SUJIHIKI, translating directly to flesh slicer. They're quite aptly named, as they are made for just that, slicing flesh. Whether that be fish or beef or pork, cooked or uncooked, these guys are great for any slicing task. I would argue that they are not the most versatile shape in the world, so like I said, very adept at slicing, but would not be great for anything else. Not particularly good at chopping vegetables, though I've seen guys do it, and not great for too many butchery tasks. This would be my preferred shape for breaking down a large fish like salmon or cod or something like that. The long, slender blade means that you can make long drawing strokes and get those perfect slices every time. So if you're a professional and you're doing a lot of slicing at work, SUJIHIKI is a fantastic tool to have. If you're a home cook and you are getting sick of tearing up your roasts, for Thanksgiving, for instance, and you want something that's going to allow you to get those perfect slices of turkey or roast beef, SUJIHIKI is a fantastic option. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Those are all the shapes that we carry at the shop. There are far more Japanese knife shapes out there. These are all the sort of Western style shapes that we carry. There are far more traditional Japanese single beveled knife shapes out there as well. And maybe in the future, when we get some more of that stuff in, we'll do a video on those other shapes as well. But until then, I'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, make sure you leave them down below. Subscribe to my channel for more knife related content. And until the next video, I hope you have a pleasant day.